Welcome to another episode of JAG U. This is episode number we don't know, actually. 55? Okay, so we do know it's episode 55. I'm here with my good friend, Shawn Wilborne. Shawn, how you doing today, bro?
Hey, I'm good. I'm ready to be here. Tuesday, so, can't complain, man.
I love it. So Shawn and I, we know each other from our B&I group, and he's going to share a little bit about government funding. Right. And I think that what we want to do here at JAG U is we always want to be a resource, not just in insurance, but to all business owners. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're new in business, if you're seasoned in business, I think the book of knowledge is always expanding. And so it's always good to just have something where you can go, oh, I didn't know that, and learn something new. So tell us a little bit about government funding.
Yeah, fantastic, man. Look, I appreciate you inviting me here.
Absolutely.
Glad to get after it, like I mentioned. When it comes to government funding, I think we kind of want to back up a step and say, everyone here, or most folks, we're either business owners, or have a business, work in a business, whatever it may be. We want to figure out, where our competitive advantage is, right?
Absolutely.
What services are we offering? Where can we compete? And where can we have past performance?
Okay.
And then once we understand some of those nuances, then there's a few different types of government funding, right?
Okay.
You got the federal government, you got state government, you got local government.
There's a lot of governments.
That's a lot of governments, man. That's a lot of governments. And we got over $1 trillion coming down in an infrastructure bill, right? That's going to trickle down, right?
Yeah.
It starts at the federal level, different agencies, you got state level, and you got local level, of course.
Okay.
There's a myriad of different services and products that are going to be sold to the government, and trillions are sold each year. So ultimately, it's figuring out, goes back to that competitive advantage standpoint, and then how do we access that capital, right? How do we get to it? How do we have the right registrations in place? And we can get to that in a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Or we can tackle it now. Right?
Well, let's back up real quick. So if you're a business owner and you're a business, like, why pursue government funding, right? What is the whole reason to do that? Yeah.
So as far as the government's concerned, 9 times out of 10, if you're in the consumer market, you can get quick transactions, but it might be a lower contract value.
Okay.
But when you're looking at the government side, it's often larger contracts, takes a lot longer to get them, and there's more hoops to jump through. But they're also what they call sticky, right? Which means that when you get that contract, it's likely going to get renewed, or alternatively.
So, like, when you're locked in, you're locked in.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're performing, you're locked in, right?
Like insurance.
Yeah.
Locked in. No. So I mean, like, the renewal business is where you really want to go, and so obviously, like, you want to have something that sustains you, and in any business, you want to have something that sustains you and renews over time. And so the purpose of really what you're saying is, like, to go after these government fundings is it's obviously bigger. It's a bigger deal, and it's something that's kind of systematic.
Right, systematic, and also you're gonna impact the community, right? Because ultimately that's what government's there for. They're to build up the community.
That's good.
They're to provide water, trash, energy, whatever those services are that are required. And that's not just saying those people in those sectors, because those sectors still have to have accounting expenses, legal expenses.
Absolutely.
They have a marketing expense, insurance expense, right?
Insurance, remember that.
So all of these different avenues and all these different services are ultimately going to come back to where's my competitive advantage? Where do I fit in? Amongst these not necessarily elite, but the folks who just have proper documentation. They have proper registrations in place.
Yeah.
They have past performance, and they can go and they can bid on these different RFPs or requests for proposals that the government entity might put out.
So if I were to want to figure out, like, where my competitive advantage is with my business and how I can, apply for some of these government funding expenses or expenditures, where would I go? Who would I talk to? Is that you? Is that like my uncle? Like my Uncle Willie who works on cars? Like, who's that?
Of course you can come to me. I can provide not only some guidance on direction, but ultimately help with the application process, right? Help you get some licenses in order, help you actually bid on those RFPs. But everybody starts at Google, right? No matter what you're doing.
I'm telling you, man,
Google,
like,
you hit a Google search,
if your elbow starts to tingle, you're like, man, what is this? What does Google have to say about this? And I mean, as awesome as a resource as Google is, I think for me personally, like, having someone who's a professional in a certain what is it, space?
It's space, right?
I just want to make sure, like, if I'm going to buy a house, I'm going to talk to a real estate agent. If I'm going to get a mortgage, I'm going to talk to a mortgage broker. If I'm going to do anything that involves government expenditures or government
Right,
funding. Like,
right.
I want to talk to someone who's obviously in that space, knows the application process, can walk me through it, and like honestly, like just dumb it down. I'm a man. I'm simple, right? Just the more simple, the better for me. So like, explain that to me in a way that I can digest it, and then even if I need to regurgitate it to someone, like boom, I can.
Yeah. I mean, so I'll start with the actually, how do you find the bids, right?
Let's do that. Start from the beginning.
Yeah. How do you find these? How do you find these projects that folks get posted up, or these contracts? There's different platforms out there that you can sign up, and you can pay a fee to look at different bids, but I prefer to go start local, right?
Yeah.
It's better to start local and then branch out from there.
Right.
So let's take a cleaning business, for instance. COVID's been big.
Yeah.
A lot of governments have to up their cleaning, even the commercial space, but
Absolutely.
governments still have to up their spending. And so what they'll do is they'll put out an RFP. And now 9 times out of 10, you're not going to see that unless you're either on an email list where you're getting those bids that are getting pushed from that government entity, or you're on one of the platforms, right, that can basically either sign you up on the mailing list with them, or access their platform to reach a swath of RFPs. So the basic point would be to start locally, right? What city are you in? What county are you in? What region are you in? But usually city and county, and then from that you're searching services and request for proposal or bid process or government contract available. Just trying to search some of those search terms and see what's coming up, right? Either for renewal or an RFP that's going out, in a few months or next year, or whenever that process occurs. That way you can figure out where you can go ahead and jump in, right? And before you can even apply for one of those bids, that comes to the registration part, right? So they call it a DUNS number. You got to get your DUNS number, get a little cage code. You basically say, hey, I'm good to deal business.
I'm trustworthy.
I can do this. Here's my registrations. I can do it at the federal level, and then you can basically, not poach, but you can start working on some of those local contracts.
Nah, but like, you want to still I'm in the business of taking other people's business.
You can, hey, if there's a contract out there coming up, you got to compete.
I love walking into a space and just being like, you know what, I'm taking that person's client today. No, I think that's great, because you always want to know like what else is out there, like.
Right.
To be where you're at is like, you can be content, but don't get complacent. Right. There's always more business that you can go out there and find. And if you can go out there and find a sticky business, something that's going to be there over time, and it's going to continue to produce like a high volume for you. Right. Like, go for it. Mm-hmm. And so I like that, man. Start small, and then as you can eat more. So go local, then you go state, then you go federal. That's man. I'm so glad you came, dog.
Yeah, anytime, man.
This is good stuff, man.
That's how you get to do it. And it just depends on the service or what the goods are that you're providing, And obviously, like you mentioned, we can workshop that. Folks can come here and say, hey, Shawn, I have XYZ business. This is what we do. We're looking at getting at some of these government contracts. Can you help, right? And sort of walking out some of the strategy behind it. Yeah. And then the execution, of course, is participating in the bidding process, winning the bid, right? Performing on the contract, those kind of things. So,
gosh. Man, I'm so glad you came by. I love this, and I'm excited to talk more about this. If you guys have any questions about any kind of government funding or anything that your business can definitely take advantage of, I want you to reach out to my guy, Shawn. We're going to put his information in the comment section below. I don't even know if that's a real thing that we do, but I hope that it is, and we should definitely start to. If we didn't, Johnny. So thanks for tuning in, man. This is another episode of JAG U, I believe number 55,000 episode. There it is. I'll holler at you later. Peace.
Have a good day.